Honestly, I don't know what my hair looks like, but I did my makeup, so I kind of tried for you guys. Hey guys, it is Steph here, back again with another video about mental health. Super fun topic, I know. So today I want to fill you guys in on kind of what's been going on the last couple of months. About 6 months ago, I made a video talking about my recent-ish at the time diagnosis with depression, and I wasn't sure why I was making it or why I chose to upload it, but I'm so glad I did because a couple people reached out to me and left super sweet messages about how when I shared I make my bed every day, they started doing it and it helped them feel accomplished, or I never expected you to be depressed. That's so shocking. So am I. It's great to see other people are too. That kind of thing. And that was super inspiring when I looked back on that and went, should I make another one? I think so. And even if I decide not to post this, at least it's kind of good therapy and it's free therapy. So, like I said, in the video I made a few months back about the depression, I mentioned one thing that kind of helped me feel more accomplished every day, and that was that I started making my bed, which was super beneficial. Excuse me. I felt super excited. I could look forward to at least every day when I woke up. I knew I would accomplish something, even on a terrible day, so that was really cool. And a few of you actually reached out and told me how you started implementing that into your daily routine and it helped you feel good too. So that's exciting. A few months after I made that video, I started feeling really terrible and like mentally, physically, all of those sorts of things, and I stopped making my bed. And I felt like such a failure because this one thing that I kind of had on a pedestal in my mind, well, at least I made my bed today, was gone. And I was like, well, now what do I have? Depression and, well, nothing to even be proud of, I guess. And so I started feeling really bad about myself in that way. I started getting lots of panic attacks more frequently. I started getting a lot more anxious. I kind of touched on that in the video a few months ago, but at the time that was very recent. And since then it's increased a lot. And like I said, the few months afterwards when I started feeling worse, that's when that all kind of started to build up a lot more. And so with all the, I guess, anxiety and panic attacks I started feeling, I felt very disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to live the daily life that I wanted to. I didn't want to live every moment super anxious and not understanding why exactly. And I actually ended up dropping out of school. Oh my god, that feels so weird to say out loud. But I did. I decided to take a semester off, and well, that was September. We're now in March. So it turned into a year. So I took a year off of school, kind of to focus on my mental health and myself and everything going on. And that was a super hard decision to make, but it ended up being the right one, and I'm super glad I did because, as I'll get into with all these new diagnoses, I can't even imagine sitting down in a class for more than 20 minutes or having to write an essay. Just no. So that really, I guess, affected my own self-esteem, and I felt like a failure. Since I graduated high school in 2015, I went straight into school. I've never taken a year off, never took time to travel or anything, always just went bang, bang, bang right through, did full classes each term. Like, it was very uncharacteristic of me and the kind of life, I guess, I planned for myself. So that sucks. So I got a couple jobs in the meantime to kind of keep myself busy, I guess. But the anxiety and the panic attacks became more and more frequent. And along with that, I started hating my body so much, which I'll touch on in a later video. But I started hating my body so much, I avoided mirrors as much as I could. I avoided hugging people. If someone came to hug me or embrace me or try to cuddle me in any sort of way, my body would freeze and I would end up crying. I would cry because someone wanted to hug me or cuddle me or whatever. What? That's insane. Like, what? And why did I react that way? Because I felt my body was disgusting. It was fat. It was embarrassing. And I should be super ashamed. And I didn't want anyone else to touch me physically, because then they would feel, along with all the fat and all the physical attributes I hated, they would feel that negativity I also felt towards myself, and I would change their mind about how they felt about me because I learned to hate myself so much, if that kind of makes sense. So I ended up going to the doctor to kind of get some answers from her, and she ended up putting me on a medication to help that anxiety about my body kind of settle down, and she diagnosed me with body image disorder, which was super validating but also kind of ridiculous because I didn't think that was a thing, and I didn't think my, I guess, stress of having this fear over my body deserved such a title. I don't know. I keep playing with my hair. I'm sorry. I'm honestly really hot and the fans are off so you have good sound, and oh god. This is a mess. So yeah, I got diagnosed with body image disorder. Got medication for that to kind of try and control the chemicals in my brain, which attributed to the feelings and the anxiety over it. Very kind of complicated and not the main focus of the video today. So with this new medication, I started feeling very foggy and forgetful, and I would repeat conversations with people, I would repeat stories, I would go to grab something from one room, come out and go, what was I doing? What was I grabbing? Just complete opposite of the person I was and the memory I typically had. It usually is quite sharp and I can remember a lot. Kind of gets me in trouble because when I lie and say, oh, I forgot, I didn't, you know? So that was pretty frustrating to just suddenly have my memory vanish on me, and I didn't understand why, and I thought, well, maybe it's this medication. And so while this was also happening, I mentioned that the panic attacks and anxiety was also increasing. Honestly, I have a bunch of points that I'm trying to remember in my head and how I want to talk about things, but it's a mess, and like soon we'll find out why, but I'm sorry, this is a mess. So while I was having all these panic attacks, anxieties, fogginess, memory loss, I was also having many mood swings, more than when I originally made the last video a few months ago. Like my mood was up and down, and it was like this, and I would go, I have bipolar disorder. It makes sense. And don't Google your symptoms for anything physical or mental illness, just don't. And so I went to my doctor, and she said, well, I don't think you have bipolar, but you might have borderline personality disorder. And she didn't really explain it, she just thought that was the diagnosis. So I Googled it, and maybe, but I wasn't sold. I was more sold on the bipolar disorder diagnosis
that I gave myself.
So with all that going on, I have been on a waiting list to see a psychiatrist since last January. Finally saw her in November, December of 2018. And she listened to my story. I told her all my concerns, and at the end she goes, I don't think you have bipolar disorder.
Thank God, one less thing wrong with me.
But I do think you have ADHD. I'm like, what? How could I have ADHD? I've never failed a class in elementary or high school, graduated with honors, always was like that nerd with A pluses and the highest average. Like, that's not me. People like that don't get ADHD. I never had any learning disabilities. I never needed extra assistance with exams or any lessons of any sort in any years of my schooling. So I was like,
okay, no. Maybe we do have the borderline personality disorder or the bipolar.
And she goes, I think you have ADHD. And I'm like, hey, sure. And she goes, but I need you to fill out some paperwork at home and get your parents to do the same. So we filled out all these questionnaires, and it was like, for my parents, does your daughter ever sit on her feet? Or does she ever fidget? Or does she ever become forgetful? Or was she this? Or was she that? And did she have a messy desk in school? And this and this and this. And it was all these things that I guess are tells. And I had almost all of them. And then it was the same questions for me. Do you ever find that you sit on your feet? Do you ever find that you are very fidgety, that you are forgetful, that you get anxious in this situation? Like, oh my god, maybe I do. That's crazy. So we returned the exams, I guess, the test questionnaires to her. She scored them up and she said, yes, you do have ADHD and you've had it your whole life and nobody ever told you because nobody could tell.
Awesome.
So, like I said, I was that student that there's no way they could have it. I guess there's a small percentage of people like myself where we're like in this little bubble where you're very, I guess, you're very smart. You're very good in school. You have a good family life supporting you. You have no real issues. And so you kind of just fly right under the radar. Once that support from your family and the administration kind of decreases, these people start showing more signs of it. of ADHD, and that's kind of how you get diagnosed way later in life, as opposed to someone who is 7 years old and fidgets in his desk and always interrupts and is always causing problems in the classroom. There's that type of student who it's kind of more obvious, and teachers or doctors and parents will kind of pick up on it when they're younger, and then they can get the help and the assistance and the medication they need to carry them through life. Whereas there's this pocket of us who are, I guess, good in school and kind of don't have anything that would give us tell signs until it's kind of too late, and then we realize, oh, everything is a lot harder for these reasons. So my brain was able to kind of function and do its thing that it needed to without help or medication until things got a little too hard, I guess. And that's kind of thanks to university. So at this appointment where she diagnosed me with ADHD, my psychiatrist also diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder, which is similar to social anxiety, but it's not social settings that I get super anxious about. It's more everyday little things, I guess. It's kind of harder to explain because I don't want to get too much into it into this video. I'll come out with another video on that separately. With the generalized anxiety disorder and depression, that stems from having ADHD, and the body image disorder stems from the anxiety and the depression, which again stems from the ADHD. So the ADHD is very much the central hub for all these other diagnoses. I honestly had no idea that so many issues could come from what I thought was just a learning disability. It very much isn't. There's a lot more to it apparently. So it's been kind of interesting to learn to live with. I'm taking medications to balance the ADHD part, which will hopefully domino effect and help everything else, which it's hard. Man, I am trying so hard to stay focused and to go exactly on how I want this video to go and go on track, but this is gonna take so much editing. I've been filming this for 21 minutes, and you know, probably only 5 minutes of this footage is going to be worth saving and using, because all this editing is, what was I saying, and playing with my hair. And I'm really sorry if the lighting sucks or if the sound sucks, and I don't know, and now I'm just rambling because I don't remember what I was going to say. How was I going to end this? I feel like I've mentioned pretty much everything I want to say in this little quick summary video. So I still have depression, I have ADHD, I have body image disorder, I have generalized anxiety disorder, and I'm tired and I need a nap and coffee. It is super fun trying to balance all of that. And they all kind of stem from the ADHD, which
nobody knew I had for 21 years.
One message to you guys is, don't be afraid to talk about your mental illness. Don't be afraid to ask for help if something feels weird or something seems strange. Nobody knows your body more than you do. That goes for when you're feeling physically ill or hurt and mentally, okay? I thought it was the medication that was making me super foggy when the fogginess kind of first started to appear. And I guess the medication could have had a little part in it, but it wasn't the cause of it. It just kind of brought it out more with whatever chemicals were reacting together to try to balance everything. And if you feel like you need extra help or you're just misunderstood, talk to somebody, honestly. Even if you just need to rent or vent.
Rant? Yeah, I was going to say rant. Rent? Vent. Oh my god.
Even if you need to vent or rant to someone about this and how misunderstood and frustrated you are, do it. Hopefully you'll feel better. Okay, so as I was trying to say before my camera rudely shut off 3 times while I was trying to do this, is thank you so much, you guys, for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being my therapist for the last 10 or so minutes. Oh, I hope this isn't longer than 10 minutes. And listening to me ramble on about my mental health problems. It was really appreciated. And hopefully I will see you guys again soon with another video. So yeah, thank you.